Coming up on DC News Now at 4, the fired Loudoun County superintendent accused of covering up a student's sexual assault back in court today, arguing he's a victim of abuse. We're live outside of the courtroom with the latest. And Ukrainian President Zelensky meets with President Biden in the district, with lawmakers divided over whether to support his fight against Russia. Our Capitol Hill correspondent brings us the latest details on their talk.
And all eyes are on this weekend, as Saturday will be a bit stormy, so definitely keep it here. We'll talk more about this in just a bit.
And the RFK revival is one step closer to reality, but residents are divided.
You can build the nations, you can build DC United, you can build for the Commanders.
We're breaking down what comes next. Plus, major retailers are offering holiday savings early. We're helping you stretch your dollar to find the best deals.
The station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
And thanks for joining us on this Thursday for DC News Now at 4. I'm Mark Hall.
And I'm Annalisa Gale. Developing right now, Loudoun County Public Schools' former superintendent is arguing he's the victim of judicial abuse.
Yeah, Scott Ziegler, accused of mishandling high-profile sex assault investigations of 2 students, now just days away from his trial. He wants charges against him dropped. Our Haley Milon covers Northern Virginia, and she's right outside of the courthouse.
Now, Haley, Ziegler is accusing prosecutors in the Attorney General's office of wrongdoing. On what grounds?
That's absolutely right, Mark. Annalisa, I just came out of the courtroom where his legal team is arguing this motion to dismiss those charges. There's 2 pieces of their argument here. Number one, that Attorney General Jason Miyares' office misused the special grand jury statute, that they went beyond what the statute allows them to do in their involvement with the special grand jury in this case. The second argument here is that in doing so, the special grand jury's office violated Ziegler's right to due process. Now, this is just the latest development in the scandal that's thrust Loudoun County into a national spotlight. In June 2021, when Ziegler was superintendent, he said in a school board meeting that there hadn't been any sexual assaults in school bathrooms. But indeed there had. Just a month before that, a Stonebridge student assaulted a schoolmate in a girl's bathroom. He then went on to another high school, this time Broad Run High School, transferred by the school division, where he assaulted a second student. Miyares impaneled a special grand jury to investigate the division's handling of those assaults, and the special grand jury ultimately indicted both former spokesman Wade Byard for felony perjury, for which he was acquitted earlier this year, and also Ziegler on these misdemeanor counts that are headed to trial in coming days. Now, the school board fired Ziegler in December of 2022 when the findings of the special grand jury were made public. We'll be inside the courtroom. We'll have reaction and everything that happens throughout the afternoon and evening. For now, in Loudoun County, I'm Haley Milon, DC News Now.
All right, Haley, thank you. And switching gears now, a 4th day in a row for some fall-like weather as we're looking live at Annapolis. My goodness, look at those boats.
Nice day for sure. And we want to enjoy it right now. Forecaster Brittany Ward joining us because the weekend could not look the same, Brittany.
Yeah, you know, this weekend going to be a totally different picture as a coastal storm begins to track closer to our area. So for right now, enjoy it. 79 currently in the nation's capital. 77 as you head over there to Hagerstown, 73 there in Winchester. And overall, it's going to be a very quiet night out there. We start to see an increase in our cloud cover as we head through your Thursday evening. Temperatures slowly begin to dip down into the upper 70s. By that 6 o'clock hour, we're holding on to the mid 70s as we head into 7 o'clock, and lows tonight will be dipping down pretty nicely into the 60s. Now, all eyes are on the weekend as we are keeping our eye out on potential tropical cyclone number 16. It is expected to strengthen into a tropical cyclone as we head into your weekend, giving the DMV some heavy downpours. We could see tropical storm force winds, and we're also going to be keeping our eye out on some of the river flooding we could see across the DMV. So you want to make sure you are staying weather aware prepare as we head into your Saturday. And because of that, the National Weather Service has issued a tropical storm warning all the way down from the Carolina coast all the way up to Maryland due to the storm rolling through. So definitely keep it here. We'll talk more about the timing of the storm, how that's going to impact your weekend, coming up in just a bit.
All right, Brittany, thank you. Happening now, Ukrainian President Zelensky is in D.C. trying to get more help from the U.S. to defend this country against Russia. Our Capitol Hill correspondent Basil John joins us live now. And Basil, obviously President Biden and even some lawmakers had a lot to say.
Well, Mark, it's Zelensky's third visit to meet with President Biden in Washington and comes as the president's request for Congress to approve an additional $24 billion for Ukraine hangs in the balance.
Back in Washington, D.C., Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky makes a direct appeal to lawmakers for their continued support.
We had great dialogue.
Zelensky then made his way to the White House for the third time and his sixth meeting, face-to-face with President Biden.
This meeting comes at a significant moment.
In each meeting, Zelensky shared details about his country's progress in the war against Russia and urged U.S. leaders to keep standing with them. Most of Congress is on board.
Mr. Zelensky said, if we don't get the aid, we will lose the war.
And it's important for us to stand behind Ukraine until victory is won.
American support for Ukraine is not charity. It's an investment in our own direct interests.
However, some Republicans, like Missouri Senators Eric Schmidt and Josh Hawley, are pushing back.
I think it's unrealistic for the United States to continue down this road with a blank check.
It's the American people's money, and they've spent $115 billion of it, and so far they have basically nothing to show for it.
But fellow Republican Senator Lindsey Graham says that view is short-sighted.
So the idea we got nothing out of it is just a disconnect from reality.
Now, despite the opposition, there is an expectation that the next aid package will go through. Reporting live from Capitol Hill, I'm Basil John.
Well, Basil, the White House announced that new package for Ukraine today. What will be included?
Right, so that will include additional resources for Ukraine, and you're looking at things like additional ammunition and also anti-armor systems.
Basil John, thank you. Well, another record for Metro. They say they recorded more than 446,000 trips yesterday. That's the first day they've seen over 400,000 trips since the COVID pandemic. Those figures reflect trips taken on buses and trains. Tomorrow, Metro is asking you to hop on board and take part in Car Free Day. It's a nationwide effort to cut down on carbon emissions.
DC News Now is your local election headquarters. And ahead of the fall's midterm elections, you will now get a chance to vote early at newly approved sites in Montgomery County. DC News Now's Liberty Zabala takes a closer look.
Well, you can get a head start on the 2024 presidential or primary elections by heading to an early voting center like the one behind me here or 13 other sites across the county. So here's a list of the early voting centers where you can cast your vote. The Montgomery County Board of Elections approved 14 early voting centers based on the number of registered active voters. Here at the Activity Center at Borer Park, where we are right now, this early voting center saw a general election early voter turnout of more than 5,600 voters here just last year. The board also proposed a new list of more than 200 polling places for the 2024 election. That still needs to be approved by the state. The board is also planning several events from September to October to reach out to the community. Now you can cast your vote early from May 2nd to May 9th of 2024. Meanwhile, the presidential primary election day is set for May 14th of next year.
Yes, I'll vote early, either in person or by mail. I'm not sure yet. So yeah, the lists look good.
Now, to find an early voting center near you, just head to our website at dcnewsnow.com and we'll have the full list posted for you there. For now, in Gaithersburg, Liberty Zabala, DC News Now.
Liberty, thank you. And taking a closer look at some of what's on the ballot in Northern Virginia. In Fairfax County, the Commonwealth's Attorney Steve Descano is running unopposed, and 3 candidates are running for sheriff. Incumbent Stacey Ann Kincaid facing contenders Jerry McMillan and Christopher DiCarlo. In 2013, Kincaid made history when she became the first woman to lead the department in its 280-year history. Also in Arlington, the Commonwealth's attorney is running unopposed, as well as Sheriff Jose Quiros there, Jr. Quiros succeeded Sheriff Beth Arthur when she retired in January. And in Loudoun County, 2 candidates are running for school board member at large, Ann Donahue and Michael Rivera. And as for the Loudoun County Sheriff's Office, incumbent Mike Chapman is facing Craig Buckley. Chapman was elected sheriff back in 2011. Buckley says he's running to, quote, change the law enforcement culture in Loudoun County.